Well, hello everybody. Thanks for coming back to my channel. Here, I helped a team in round three make their round three decisions, and they have now since moved on to round four. Now, I did get a complaint, and I think it's more of a misunderstanding of the student. In this one, this is the round. This is how they got graded. So it shows here that they had zero in profits. They got 0 points. 0 points for market share, 0 points for forecasting, 0 points for customer satisfaction, and only a couple of points for some of their other stuff. But here's what happens. Every round, this is going to increase because at round four, you're not going to have the same numbers you will have at round eight. So this is to give you kind of a report card of where you are in the overall, and this is actually doing pretty well. So while your financial structure is good right now, you did receive an emergency loan, or hadn't received an emergency loan, I think. I can't remember. So on this one, that's where we may have got 100% on that. I think they allow for you to get one emergency loan. But as far as your profits, well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about market share. We'll talk about forecasting, customer satisfaction here. Here are the results of round three's decisions. So here we have in round three, when they had finished, they had $1.5 million in profit, but in round four, they had a loss of 1.8 million. So let's dive down into that a little bit more and see what happened. We went from one of the first things that they had told me was that they needed more market share. So they went from 11% to 11.59%, which means they increased. So that's really good. So where did they go wrong with the profits? So here's the thing, I give suggestions, and a lot of them I think were kept, but some other things didn't happen, and they won't happen yet until next round. Because this is round four that they just entered into, you'll see some of the things that they need to make a difference. Their stock price did go down a little bit for now, and that's okay. Next round, they'll probably go up. Let's see where they invested in their production versus capacity. All right, so in round three, the end of round three, they had 4.0 automation is what they had invested, and in their round four decisions, they had increased that to 4.5, so they'd spent some money on that. That's okay. They'd used their plant more. One of the things I'd noticed in round three was they only had one product. Notice in round four, I said you guys really need to create a product. If you can, create two products. Well, they stuck with one, and that's okay. I couldn't see their financials to see why they only did one. I would have done two, and I would have manipulated the numbers to make it sure that I had to. On the material cost, you can see the material cost here in round three was $9.68, whereas now it's $10.40. Why? Why would that go up? Labor cost went down from $9.24 to $8.47. Once again, why? Well, the automation went up. Automation from round two went to 4.0, and this is what caused this labor cost to go down. We didn't need as many people. And you're still less than 100% plant utilization, which means you got people standing around. For the material cost, it went up because look at the MTBFs. Here it's at 14,500, and here they bumped it up to 19,000. So very good. That increased some of the cost of each chip, each part. Notice also that we had a revision date change. So the last time this was changed was in 2022, which had been the year prior, whereas this one is 2024, which was this round. So the change that took place was in June of this year, of this last round, so halfway through the year. And you'll see what happened with that. Amaze is coming out next year in August. So they won't sell any parts in the high-tech sector until August of next year, which means they need another product. They need to start another product now because here's what happens. You want to put another product on the market and it won't come out for another year and a half. That happens every time on CapSim. So if you wait until round three or round four to put it in, you're really handicapping yourself. Whereas you really should be introducing one, if not two products in the very first round, just to give yourself that edge. That way in the second round, you have some products that are about to come out and you can make some good decisions. Okay, so as far as the capacity, they didn't change capacity, they just changed automation, which they should. You should always increase automation as much as you can. On the low tech product, on the high tech, it's not that important. Eventually, when you get enough money, then you can go ahead and do that. Then you can automate the high tech. You want to keep the high tech able to move around. So let's take a look and see what happened here. One of the things I pointed out in the round 3 instructions was their MTBS were low. They're at 14,500, which means they're at the very low end of the MTBS. But MTBS are an important part. It's 21%, so it's a fifth of what makes people want to buy this product. Whereas in round 4, they did make a change. Look what they did. They moved it up to 19,000 MTBS. I also recommended that they raise their price from $28.79 up, and they did. They moved it to $30. Which is an increase of $1.11. Now this is important because if I go back up here, you remember this, the material cost went up, the labor cost went down. The difference, I believe when I added them together, let's see if I have that here, the history, it was 5 cents. It became 5 cents more expensive in round 4 to make a part than it was in round 3. But because they raised their price $1.11, no, $1.21, excuse me, $1.21 per item, they made more profit. Now, notice here it says they stocked out. That means they didn't make enough. They were in such high demand that they couldn't keep up with the people buying it, and they're the only ones that had that issue. So that's important to point out. They did make an adjustment, so let's see. Here that shows them at 2.23 years old because it cut it in half and then added some time since June when it came out. All right, see, June. So the next round, early on this next round, they're going to hit that 3.0 spot, which is going to be perfect for them. They're 6.7 and 13.3. You see their size is still a little bit bigger than what the low-tech market wants, and their performance is a little bit slower. However, it's really close to the ideal position, and low-tech products don't move very far. Notice their customer survey went up. Now, one of the things that was requested of me was they said, Bob, we're getting graded very low, very poorly on our customer survey, the customer satisfaction. Well, now they're the highest in customer satisfaction, but 41% isn't high enough, which I think is why they're getting graded low by the professor, because it's only round 4. However, keep going like this, and you'll be in your customer satisfaction, customer survey is going to go up to 60, 70, it could even hit the 90s. I don't remember how mine did when I did it a couple of years ago, but I believe I hit the 90s, if not 100%, on the customer survey. I don't remember fully, but I was high up there, and I was always number 1 on the segment that was sold. Okay, so we went from being number 4th, the 4th product in sales, to being the first product in sales. Your market share went from 18% to 19%. So the market share went up, customer satisfaction went up, and all you did was made a couple little changes. Your performance was better, your size a little bit smaller, and your MTBS had a major improvement. So all of a sudden, everybody wanted your product. Not only that, but these numbers were still the same for half the year. So all the customers were buying this product at 6.2 and 13.9 for 6 months until this product came out. And that's when they really pushed and said, oh, no, I want to have this one now. You also included increased your promo budget. Your promo budget is fine. Notice that your customer awareness is already at 100%. If your customer awareness is at 100%, there is no need for you to bump up your promo budget. At this point, I would go back down to the 21, 23, or find another number that would still allow you to be at 100%, but not have to pay the extra $700,000 to promote your product. They already know what it is. On your sales budget, you went up also to 2750 from 2000s, which means you increased 700,000 on that one. So you spent about $1.5 million more on promoting your budget. Well, $1.5 million more, let's take a look up here. $1.5 million, your profit was negative 1.8 million, which means just changing that promo back to where it was, you probably would have just as much accessibility. Notice that here you have the most customer accessibility in round 3, 1.8 million. And I would bet that if you dropped the number down right here from 2.8 million to 2 million even, and drop this down to 2.0 million, 2 million even, that you would have that 1.5, almost $1.6 million in savings. That alone almost would take care of your deficit. Now, why did you lose so much money? Because you spent a lot in putting out a new product, in development, and also in increasing um, your TQMs, which we're going to see in a second. That's a cost that you didn't have before. So the reality is you made a lot more money in profit. You just spent it all, which is okay. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, in the high-tech market, there's nothing for you to do here. You still sold some products here, but you get the same price. So you now, instead of being the bottom at 3% of market share, you're now second from the bottom with 3% market share. You sold the same number of goods, 142 and 142. So that's not a big deal. You can expect to sell more than that, but we'll cover some numbers here in a second on expectations. Here we go. Here's the market share. So you went from 18.3 to 19.3. What did they expect? This is the potential. This is what they think you're going to make in round 4. So they're showing 18.3 again and 3.2, which is almost the same, 3.4 in your market share. So they're saying that your market share is going to go down. Why? You're not producing products. Now, or at least not desirable products. In this case, in your new round, round 4, you have able at 19.3%, so it went up 1%. That actually is a big deal. And your high tech, it was right on 3.2. Why? You didn't produce another product in there, not yet. That's going to be next round. Now, what did it say? Because of your promotion budget, because of your marketing, you have more people that know who you are. You're more accessible. You made people happy. You have your product more in line with what they want. So right now they're predicting that you're going to take over. You're going to take over in the low tech market. You actually did this round because you went to 19.3, which means you overtook Cake in market share in the low tech. Although East Erie has you beat because they have a combination of two low tech products. It looks like, or they sold more in the low tech market anyway. Probably because you ran out of products. Sometimes the high-tech products get bought in the low-tech because there aren't enough low-tech products. So you'll need to produce more low-tech products. They're predicting 21% for you. All right, so let's take a look. There were 7,378 products in the low-tech market. Now, if you remember, you can see there's going to be a growth of 10% right here. Next year's growth segment is 10% right there. In the low-tech market, and the high-tech is going to be 20%. So when we come down and do our numbers, this is one of the things it doesn't tell you. You have to figure it out for yourself. If you see over here on the left-hand side, right here, 6,708 products were sold, a 10% increase, which is multiplying by 1.1. That gives you 7,379 products, which is exactly what sold. So now that you know that, we'll take that same number and multiply that by 1.1. And that tells us we're going to have this many products selling next round. Well, if you're expected to have 21.6% of that market share, which isn't a guarantee, but is likely with the numbers that you have, now you multiply that by 0.216, and you're likely to sell no fewer than 1,753 products. So if you can't handle that, then that's a problem. You got to increase your capacity and whatnot. But you should be able to with what you've got. Keep your automation up. Produce the 1,753. You might even produce more than that, maybe go 1,825 or 1,850. I liked to go somewhere between 50 to 100 more than what I thought I would sell, and I would rather have inventory than stock out, but I would try to get as close to zero as possible. So this is the way you do it. You're going to have another product on the market, and it looks like, based on the numbers I was looking at, nobody else is coming out with a new product. And how can I tell that? This right here, this page. So let's go up here. Because you are fighting against computers, you can see exactly what they're going to do. They're predicting their next round. You are creating a new product. Notice how it says it's not in the market, it has 0 units sold, no inventory, and it tells me the date. The date is going to be next round. It's going to come into play in August, which means you will be able to sell some. Make sure you have capacity for them. You have 400 capacity, it says, so that's good. Now take note, when it comes out in August, you will not sell a full year's worth. So even if, and it won't take full market share either. So if it's at, say, 5% market share, let's go ahead and find out what that was supposed to be. So your high-tech market is 4,479, and it's going to have a 20% increase. So it's going to be 5,374. Able itself will sell 3.6 in that market. So 5374 times let's see, yeah, 0.036. So you'll sell 193 in Able alone. So add the 193 to the 1,700 and change that we talked about. You're already about 2,000 products in your low tech alone. Now you're introducing a high tech product. So here's what happens when you forecast. You take all the high tech products, and this is how you know. Um, Here we go. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 high-tech products. There are about to be 5 high-tech products. So they're going to be 5374 divided by 5 high-tech products. That gives you an average of 1,074 per for the next round. Notice on this round, there were not that many. There were 740, 702, 750, 823, and 805. Now each one of those are competing high-tech products. And notice how they're pretty similar in number. If you take all of those up, if you take, well, I'll just do it for you. Okay, we'll go back down. How many were there? 4,479. And divide that by how many products? 1, 2, 3, 4. Divide that by 4. And you got 1,100 products. So what is it getting it to? 805, 840. That's about 75%. Yeah, there we go. So each one of these guys, each one of these products is going to get about 75%. So let's do the math this way. 5374 was the last number. So 5374, that's going to be the demand for next round. We're going to divide that by 5 because now there are 5 high-tech products that are going to be on the market. Oops. $53.74 divided by 5 is 1074. And if we do the same thing here, 1074, and you multiply that by 0.75, it's probably going to be less than that, but we'll just go with that, 0.75. That means, oh, that didn't do it right. 1074 times 0.75, 805 products per. So now instead of 850 for fast and feast, it's going to be about 805. Well, you're not going to sell that much. Why? Because you're just coming out in August. And not only is it coming out in August, it's essentially coming out September 1st. So you only have September, October, November, and December. That's 4 months out of a 12-month year. So that's 33% of the year. So because it's only going to be available for that much time, what I would do in forecasting is I'd multiply this 805 times 0.33 and say you're going to sell about 265 products in the high-tech market. Now that's up to you whether you want to forecast that or build that. This is just hypotheticals that I'm creating for you, but I think that's a really good number to go by. I also would recommend that you create another product, another high-tech product, because you're going later on in the rounds. So you probably want another one to compete and grab more of the market share. What's going to happen is for your round 5 decisions, if you do these, you're going to sell a lot of the amaze. You're going to make more profit. And then when you hit round 6, you're going to have another product coming out. So now you have 2 high-tech products, which now will take market share from Fast and Feast. And hopefully around 7, you'll have another one, and you'll be able to take your first high-tech product, Amaze, and make it into a low-tech product about that time. And that should get you some low-tech market as well as the high-tech market, and really just feed off of yourself. You'll end up gaining the market share, and your customer satisfaction is going to continue to go up. So these numbers here, your profit will increase, your market share will increase dramatically, your forecasting will get better because you won't be selling out of your product. Customer satisfaction will go up because they'll like it. Your productivity will go up because you're not at 100% yet. They want to see you at 100%. Matter of fact, when you go into your pro forma sheets, it will tell you more or less what these things will kind of look like. So adjust your numbers with the pro forma in mind, and you'll see that these total points will increase round by round. And if you have any problems, talk to your professor and say, hey, why is this only 355? How can we get these numbers up, or should we expect these numbers to be super, super high? And the reality is no, not yet, because you're in the earlier rounds. Had you prepared more products early on, you probably would see higher numbers, but you're not doing that bad. Make sure you borrow more long-term debt, and that brings me to one last thing. I was asked, what about this long-term debt? Do we have to retire the long-term debt because we have it? And the answer is no. You will automatically do that. Oh, here's a comment on the TQM. So this is the first round where you could invest in TQM. You had a turnover rate went from 10.0 to 7.8, which means it cost you less money to get rid of people. Your productivity went up to 101%, which means your people are more productive. Why? Because you are training them. You're putting in more hours. You're training them 60 hours compared to everybody else. That's awesome. You're recruiting. You're spending $2,000 or yeah, $2,000 per employee to recruit them, which means you're in line with everybody else, which means you get to keep your people. You're turning over less than everybody else. So when you're on this page and you're making your decisions for TQM, make sure you look for that little eye, that information bubble. That information bubble will tell you that 2,000 is too much or it's enough. It'll tell you how many hours is too much. There's a point of diminishing returns where there's no point in putting more hours in, and you don't want to put fewer hours in. It gives you the optimal number in that information bubble. So you hired 71 new employees compared to everybody else. That's because you're selling more. You need more people out there making your product. That's a good thing. You did good there. Here you have your TQM. You put 750 on every single one. So $7.5 million of your profit went to investing in your company. That's great. This is another reason why you went 1.8 million in the hole, is because you invested 7.5 million here. If you hadn't done this, you probably would have seen that number. You would have seen a lot more cash on hand. However, this is what you gained. You gained 5% material cost reduction, 6% labor cost reduction, 27% in a faster research and development cycle time. Your admin costs are down 43%, and the demand for your product is up 6.6%. Compare that with everybody else, and you'll notice that you have a lot better chances than all these other people of getting what you need. Now, they didn't spend as much, but I would spend the same amount this next round. If you go look at the rounds that I did the exact same thing 2 rounds in a row and got it all up front, because that gives you the advantage in the later rounds because you already have your bump. Down here, I show, I'll put it in the middle of the screen. Here we have the sales of common stock. I don't know why it was selling stock before, but you're not now. Okay, you're not selling any stock, which is good. Here you have your long-term debt that you're borrowing, 11 million, which is fine because you need to be able to pay for research and development. You retired long-term debt. Now this, I don't know if this was something that you guys chose to do, or if this is something that the simulator automatically did. I know that the simulator does automatically retire some long-term debt each year hereafter. Don't worry about that. I wouldn't add any more. If this is something that you added on purpose, don't do that. It's just like going to the bank, borrowing $10,000 and giving it $1,000 back immediately. There's a reason why you're borrowing 10 grand. Go use it. So here's the 11,000. You paid 1.7 million back, which is pretty close to how much money you went under this round. And then your change in current debt, 1.7 million, which means you got more money. And so you decreased in your cash position round over round. Your closing cash position was higher because you borrowed more, but you spent it on the R&D and other things, which you should have. So what I would recommend for this round, I'd borrow as much as possible from the long-term debt. Try to not pay any of the long-term debt. When you finish your numbers and before you click submit, make sure that on your financial page it shows that you will have a profit. If it shows you a negative, you're shooting yourself in the foot. I always try to have somewhere around 1 million or 2, and sometimes even higher, sometimes 3, 4, or 5 million sitting in the bank based on the pro forma, based on the numbers. That way, if I hit submit, I was more likely to have money in the bank, not get an emergency loan because that will screw you, and it'll hurt you short term too, because it acts as a short term loan and you have to pay off the next year. So it'll hurt you in your grades and it'll hurt you in your company. So other than that, I think I've hit everything on here. So what would I do? I would introduce one more product, if not two. Definitely another high-tech product. If you can afford another two products, then I would do that. I would borrow some more, and I think you're right in line with the high tech. When it comes out, it's going to be great. Your market share will increase because you'll have two products in the market, but don't be surprised if you're not going to go from, what is it, 13% or 11.59% to 20. That's not going to happen in one round. Not this round anyway. If, however, you produce two more products in this next round, or at least have them come out, then come round 6 or round 7, you will probably see yourself, if you choose the right numbers, you'll probably see yourself up in 20, possibly 23, 24%. I think I hit 30% on one of mine by round 8, because I had two low-tech products and I took up a lot of the share in here. Anyway, I hope that helps, guys. If you have any questions, ask down below. You can reach out to me on my website if you want some help at www.watchbobonyoutube.com, and you can contact me on the contact page. I know this has been a long video, but I hope you've enjoyed it and hope you've learned. Have a good day.